Hello, and welcome to the 401 Sportsworld Waiver Wire Wednesday edition of the podcast. The panel for tonight, Lacey Dawson, Calculator. How's it going?
I am fired up to talk about some waiver wire pickups and studs, duds, you name it. I'm ready to go.
All right. How about you, Lacey?
I'm right there with you.
All right. All right, so we're going to get down to business here. We are going to cover studs and duds, some start and sit. We even have some questions in our grab bag today.
All right.
We also have a special segment sponsored by Hooters. And we're always going to give you our fantasy tips. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, panel. The studs and duds of week number 3 in the NFL. Yeah. Who would like to go first?
Actually, I'd like to go first since I know the calculator is going to talk and talk and talk.
I'll keep it short for you, Miss Lacey.
I want to get my shots in early.
Bring it on, Lacey.
Okay, my number one dud of the week is the Chicago Bears. You know, I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, there's nobody on the team that was fantasy relevant this week. It's just sad. And I understand when your starting quarterback goes out, you're going to have some problems. And I understand when your number one receiver goes out, you're going to have twice as many problems. But, you know, Dallas had the same situation. Well, not exactly. But you know, Chicago still had Forte, and they just stunk up the place with, they just stunk it up. They are a dud with a capital D-U-D. Another dud for the week, and this is a game that because of my household, I actually saw this game. Okay. We have a stud and a dud in the same game. We have Alfred Blue stepped up, finally stepped up and acted like he was the number one running back for that team, for Houston. And it was good to see him. So Alfred Blue was a stud. I don't know if he can keep up that pace. This was against Tampa Bay. But for this week, for week 3, he was a stud. And the dud of that game, the kicker for Tampa Bay.
He was awful.
Goodness. He was a dud. He single-handedly, like I could just hear Lovie Smith, head about to explode. Like, we did all of this to get down here, and you get right here, and you suck. It's just not right. I felt bad for the young man, but at the same time, I'm like, if I was a Tampa Bay fan, you just can't get back on my field. Nah. It was just bad. And my last dud for the weekend, and there are a few to choose from, but this is another major dud. Colin Kaepernick. Oh my goodness. He threw for 67 yards against another professional football team. How do you try yourself out?
You said he ran for 67 yards?
I believe he passed at 67 yards. 47-7.
Wow.
How are you can you call yourself a quarterback and you pass for 67 yards? I just don't understand. So those are my 3 main duds for this week. They were Chicago, Tampa Bay's kicker, and Colin Kaepernick. There's just no excuse for any of that. At the professional level, you just can't be this bad.
Wow. If I may, my stud is Julio Jones. In a PPR league, he put up 40 points.
She's in the curtain.
He was targeted 20 times.
Wow.
I mean, who else was Matt Ryan looking at? 20
Nobody.
times?
He never looked at anybody else. What, are you kidding me?
20 times. I mean, if he's on your fantasy team, you have to love that. I mean, any player that you can draft, and they're targeted 20 times.
For as long as he's healthy. Mm-hmm.
Golly. I wonder what the play was like when they come out the huddle. Okay. Julio 1. Julio on 2. Julio on 3.
Julio.
4th and 20, Julio. Okay. So it was just all, I mean, goodness, 20 targets. You have to love that. So he's got to be a stud.
Yeah.
And then 2 touchdowns, 12 catches, and 164 yards. You do the math. You gotta say Julio's a stud. Another stud. This was a surprise stud. It ties in to my dud. But the stud, what is his name? Chris Johnson. 22 rushing attempts. He had 110 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Wow.
You would want that from your first round pick.
I wish I could get that from my first round pick.
Exactly. Yeah. So for week 3, he was my stud, and that leads me to a dud. I have to call myself a dud because I didn't start Chris Johnson, and in place of doing that, I started Todd Gurley. And not only did the Rams only score 6 points in the entire game versus Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and the Rams were at home in a dome on turf. He had 6 carries, 6 carries for 9 yards. Now I know that they were saying, well, Trey Mason's going to do a little. They're going to work early.
He didn't do anything either.
Come on, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mason, I mean, they already pushed Cunningham out the door, and so you got to figure, man. You know what? We're going to give Gurley at least 15 carries, 15 carries. Let's split it with Mason. I mean, he only gets 6 carries. He didn't even carry the ball in the first quarter. I'm looking at my screen and it's like zeros all the way across. I'm like, wow. So you hype him up for that, and then my other dud, same game, same location, same team. Nick Foles. Pittsburgh defense. You got to give me more than 197 yards. You have to give me more than 0 touchdowns. And then for the icing on the cake, you throw an interception on top of that. So the INT doesn't even come off of maybe points that you accumulate for at least throwing a touchdown or 2. So those are my duds. So I'm done venting, and I'll pass it over to you, Calculator.
Yes, sir. Let's go. I like to point out my stud quarterback would be Mr. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle.
Yeah,
380 yards, 3 touchdowns, and capped it off with a rushing touchdown as well. I mean, he was phenomenal against the once vaunted Baltimore defense, and it was on the road, which was surprising. Yeah. And not only that, Andy Dalton, he gets to play Kansas City this week, who just got torched by Aaron Rodgers for 5 touchdowns. Okay, my dud.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was playing against that guy that started Andy Dalton.
Yeah, the guy that actually picked up Andy Dalton off of waivers that week because Rumble went down. Yeah.
That was painful.
A double whammy. So for my dud for the quarterback position, I'm going to go in a different direction to Matt Stafford. What has happened to him? The man has Calvin Johnson, one of the greatest receivers on the planet. He has Eric Ebron, basically a faster version of Gronkowski, and Golden Tate, one of the best secondary receivers in the league. And he couldn't get on the ball. Granted, his offensive line was going against a good pass rush in Denver, and Denver does have some great DBs, but you got to be able to put it in the end zone. So very disappointed in Stafford. Okay, my stud at the running back position, Devontae Freeman. Oh my gosh. 3 touchdowns. Yeah. You really don't need to go any further than that. Julio Jones, he opened things up for Devontae Freeman, and hey, Devontae Freeman, he thought he was back at Florida State running against Duke. It was just open lanes all day long. And then my dud, we're going with Marshawn Lynch. Are you kidding me? What did I think he just ate too much before the game and didn't want to come out of the locker room. That's what I think. And then he wasn't probable or doubtful he wasn't even on an injury report. And then all of a sudden the game started They said Marshawn Lynch still in the dressing room. You know, so I don't understand it.
Well, he said it's Chicago.
Well, that's probably what it said.
There you go.
The thing is, he could have got his 200 yards this weekend and said, "Oh man, beast mode is back." But not let a lot of people down, playing one of the worst teams in the league, and don't even show up, don't even come out of the locker room.
Yeah, I gave up a first-round draft pick for him. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah. I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like Lynch.
Yeah.
It sounds like Lynch was just taking a day off.
Yeah. Is the calculator still going, or?
Yeah, I'm only at wide receivers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going position by position here.
Okay, because I didn't finish either. But go ahead, calculator.
Oh well, I thought you.
No. I mean, I was really going with my duds, and I was going to separate them. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm over.
You may cover some of my stuff.
Okay.
You know.
Well, is Keenan Allen a stud of yours?
He is not.
Okay, well, I'm going with Keenan Allen as a stud. just because he got 2 touchdowns. Well, guess what? He caught a touchdown from the backup quarterback at the end of the game. So he was catching them. They had a backup. Phillip Rivers was getting beat up. And tell you the truth, I don't even know the backup's name. All I know is he saw Keenan Allen, he threw it to him, and he got another touchdown. Keenan Allen, and another reason I'm going to highlight him as a stud is because I actually had him as a dud in week 2 for his one catch and fumble. So he redeemed himself. Way to come back, Mr. Keenan Allen.
Very nicely.
Absolutely.
Nicely done, sir.
My dud wide receiver, Andre Johnson.
Ooh.
Oh, my gosh. Do people have high hopes for this guy? What, playing with Andrew Luck, finally a good wide receiver?
It felt like it can't miss.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, he's not even playing 50% of the snaps. Andre Johnson, you are cut. Okay. My stud, I'm going with Charles Clay at the tight end position. Hey, Miami, they let him go. They thought Jordan Cameron was the answer. Buffalo's Bill paid Charles Clay a ton of money. He came in, he was getting open, and he made it count against his former career. Charles Clay, way to hit pay dirt. My dud was a guy that was on the stud last week. That's why I want to highlight him. That's Gilmore for Baltimore. Are you kidding me?
I didn't buy into that.
Make a name for yourself.
It's still Flacco. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but watch out, folks, and we'll talk about it in our waiver wires. Another Baltimore tight end people might want to target. Okay, my stud defense, Arizona, Kaepernick. Oh my gosh, he's still throwing to Tyrann Mathieu in his dreams. That was just awful. Arizona, you're my stud. Don't need to really go in depth in that. And my dud, I have to do it because Lacey Dawson's on this program. The Jets defense. I had the Jets defense in 5 leagues, and I thought they were going to make Sam Bradford want to go back to college. It was terrible. Granted, the offense didn't help them out by moving the ball. They've been controlling the game most of the time, but they came in cocky. Darrell Reeves thought he could cover, everybody.
They came in cocky. I have to agree with you there. Yeah. But just we don't get personal. Who that? Yeah. How about that? Who that? Yeah.
Hey, we're going for the number 1 pick. Thank you very much. So, all right. Well, anyways. Well, the Jets are still my dud defense, even though I have them on 5 of my leagues, and they let me down in every one of them. So Lacey, you can continue with your.
We need that bounce back. Okay, actually, I talked about some duds, and I had a few studs. There were 1, 2, 3, and 2 of the 3. Okay, I already talked about Alfred Blue. He showed up. I don't know if he can keep up that pace. Actually, I have 3 more. I'm sorry. One of my studs, and 2 of these are duos. So like you said, Andy Dalton calculator, and I absolutely agree with you. But welcome back, AJ Green. He's back from the dead. He's back from obscurity. He's relevant again. AJ Green and Andy Dalton. That's been a nice combination. But until just now this week, it really hasn't gelled, and that was pretty special. Yeah, so I can't argue with that. Another stud combination, Amari Cooper and Derek Carr. I don't know. This is a match that it's working. I will not argue with success. This is something that's working. These guys are making each other look good. They're propping each other up. They're getting it done, and I admire that. And the last one, my last stud, and this is me eating a little bit of crow from last week because I said that Larry Fitzgerald can't possibly keep this up. Well, apparently he's a friend of the program, and he wanted Lacey Dawson to be wrong. So Larry Fitzgerald went out, took a couple of sips of that Fountain of Youth, showed up like gangbusters. He is getting it done. He and Carson Palmer have turned back the dial. We've talked about that on some other programs. They have turned it back, and they are turning it up. I have to give him my hats off to being a stud at this late stage of the game. And I'll give a mini shout out to Steve Smith Sr. because he's also, gone on record as like, this is my last season and I'm gonna get it done, and he is doing that. Somehow, even though everybody knows exactly where Joe Flacco is going, Steve Smith is managing to make that work.
Yes.
So those are my studs for this week.
All right. Well, our next segment is going to be the grab bag, where we have our listeners. They like to submit to 411 Sportsworld Podcast at gmail.com. That's 411 Sportsworld Podcast at gmail.com. And the calculator received some email.
Yes.
From a couple of fans. So we decided to, out of the pile of information that we received, calculator
just the two.
Selected two.
Sure. The first question is coming from a team called Carmen's Cronies. He says he is in a 10-person PPR league. All right, and he says his quarterback or his running backs have been killing him. He has been starting Jonathan Stewart and Melvin Gordon, and he said this week he was looking on the waiver wire, and he says the three people that he had his eye on and wanted our opinion. He says DeMarco Murray, Matt Jones, and Devontae Freeman are all available. He wants to know our thoughts.
Okay, could you repeat it? DeMarco Murray, Matt Jones,
and Devontae Freeman.
Now, and that's part A. Now, part B. How does his roster work? Is it 2 running backs, 3 running backs?
I am sorry. That is correct. It's a standard league with, when I say standard, it's 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a flex player, a defense, and a kicker.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I thought Mr. Clone was that's the most important question. And I see that he did not. My question to Carmen's Cronies is, who did you get where your best running backs are Jonathan Stewart and Melvin Gordon? You must have Aaron Rodgers.
No, he actually has Eddie Lacy as his main running back, but he knows he's not going to drop them. So he's wondering who to replace between Jonathan Stewart and Melvin Gordon. Should he replace?
This is for flex.
Yes.
Okay.
He said should he replace Jonathan Stewart or Melvin Gordon with DeMarco Murray, Matt Jones, or Devontae Freeman? In other words, would you replace Jonathan Stewart or Melvin Gordon with any of those three? And which one would you replace?
I would replace both of those and try to get 3 of those names right there that were listed. Now, the third, the last one I would try to get is Murray, but I'd definitely try to snatch up Freeman and Matt Jones because, in my opinion, Matt Jones long term is going to be the back that's going to get 20 carries a game for throughout the rest of the season. And the Skins have nowhere to go. So when you're a team that is not going to win your division, not going to make the playoffs, take a look at your young talent. Matt Jones is a big back, downhill, and they're going to give him the carries. Try to get him on your roster. Freeman, you saw what he did last week, and Coleman is injured, correct? Mm-hmm. So, and he's another downhill runner. Go with those 2 back. Try to get both of them.
Well, now
and let the other 2 go.
Mm-hmm. No, well, actually, we're not talking about. Are these people that are already in his lineup, or
no? Jonathan Stewart. Jonathan
Stewart and
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon are in his lineup. So these other 3 guys are all on the waiver wire.
DeMarco Murray, Matt Jones, and Devontae Freeman. Correct.
Yeah, so I'm saying get rid of those two and pick them two up.
That's kind of, you got to kind of, look inside it. Well, Jonathan Stewart, Carolina's doing well. Jonathan Stewart is not getting a whole lot of points right now. I don't know if I would let him go that easily, but Matt Jones is definitely the future in Washington, and so I think he's legit. Washington wants to run the ball more than they want to do anything else. Devontae Freeman, I know he's a big sexy pick this week because of the 3 touchdowns, because of how well they did. But Atlanta's offense really belongs to Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. I don't know that Devontae Freeman gets a lot of games like they had against Dallas. I just don't know. I know of the 3 of those guys, DeMarco Murray, Matt Jones, Devontae Freeman. Matt Jones is my number 1 target out of that group. Devontae Freeman would probably be my number 2 target, but Atlanta's playing Houston this week. Not every week you're not going to have a cakewalk like they did this week. I wouldn't have thought that Dallas would be a cakewalk, but it turned out to be that. Julio Jones is healthy right now. Matt Jones Washington's going to run the ball first. That's their game plan. So I like to try to have a running back from a team that likes to run.
Okay.
So that's my advice. I would say target Matt Jones and Devontae Freeman maybe. DeMarco Murray's just not healthy right now, so he's a no. But Devontae Freeman maybe.
Okay.
And
you are both in agreements that if you was to drop one, you would drop Melvin Gordon. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Or you would drop Jonathan Stewart?
If between the 2, I would drop Gordon, and the reason why I would drop Gordon is because there's another running back on that team named Woodhead that is a factor.
Yeah, he's a big factor.
So why even worry about
the
it?
game plan. Yeah.
So why even deal with all that? And also San Diego airs the ball out a lot. So and they're trying to groom Gordon. He's right now he's not a workhorse back. Maybe next season you can look into Gordon, but at this point, based on what I've seen, that would be the one I would let go.
Right. Okay. Carolina wants to run the ball. That's right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Now, question number 2. This is from Show Me the Money. I'm in a PPR league. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, kicker, special teams.
Okay.
Show Me the Money says
no flex.
No flex. Correct. I have to start 2 between 3 wide receivers. Apparently, he already has a stud wide receiver taking up 1 spot. So the 2 out of the 3 got to start 2. Keenan Allen, Jarvis Landry, Amari Cooper. Which 2 start this weekend?
Keenan and Amari, no question.
Keenan and Amari, no question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would have to agree with that as well, especially since Jarvis Landry is playing the Jets this weekend.
Yes, and he gets Revis. Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets Revis Island. So, okay, so we're all in agreement. Start Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper. Okay.
And I wouldn't even worry about it. Start them 2 and move on with your day.
Yeah.
There you
and
go.
Jarvis is not even like number 1 at his position on his team right now. He's the number 1 receiver, but he's not getting the bulk of the work because he's doing that number 1 coverage and is not actually adapting very well to it. So for what that's worth, Rashard Matthews, as much as it pains me to say because I have Jarvis Landry in several leagues, Rashard Matthews is actually getting the bulk of the work there.
Okay.
And also I'll chime in. Cooper is playing against the Bears defense.
Ooh. Yeah.
And him and Cooper and Carr are really special. They are really looking good together.
Right, the CNC factory. So you have Cooper and Carr, and then Allen has Phillip Rivers.
Yes, sir. And they're playing at home this weekend, and Keenan loves being at home.
Yeah. And they will get plenty of possession.
And they're playing against Cleveland too.
Exactly. So they'll be on offense a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So I also want to just do a shout out to Carmen's Croonies and Show Me the Money. Thank you for your questions, and for others out there, don't hesitate to send us a question. We will do our best to answer them.
And good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good luck to both.
Thank you. And fans, don't forget, we'll read it to you quickly one more time. 411 Sportsworld Podcast at gmail.com. Send us questions, and if we love them, we'll get it on the air.
That's right.
Next week.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The next segment, Who? Sponsored by Hooters. This is an interesting segment that we have, and it's fun. Basically, it's about a player that each one of the panelists, we do a lot of research here. So if we run across a player that had a very good performance, but no one knows who he is, and we're pretty sure that no one had this player on their roster. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off. Lacey.
Uh-huh.
Who?
Who the hell was that guy? Yeah. This is somebody that you've heard of, but you haven't heard of in a while. And I saw this name come across the screen, and it said Gray, and I said, who the hell is that? It's Jonas Gray. Is in Miami. And is for this week anyway, he outscored Lamar Miller and Damian Williams, the number 1 and the number 2 running back in that system. Jonas Gray rose to the top of that nasty little pile. However, he has got some fantasy relevancy, and Jonas Gray is somebody that I would, if not target, at least put him on your radar and keep an eye out for him, and maybe pick him up and stash him. Can't hurt. Yep. Running backs are hard to come by. So that's my who. Who that?
Yeah, that's a good who.
Yeah.
Well, if I may calculate it, I have an who.
Okay.
This player, 3 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. That's 14 points in a PPR league. There are teams there. We all need receivers with bye weeks and things like that going on, and injuries.
That's an important point to make about bye weeks. Yes.
Exactly. And by the way, I believe it's what New England and Tennessee on the bye this week.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
But 3 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. I would love to have that on my, on my roster for the week.
I would have loved it this past weekend instead of Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh-huh.
So, but guess who did it?
Who?
Seth Roberts.
What?
Who?
Seth Roberts. Oakland Raiders wide receiver, Seth Roberts.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've never heard that name before. Before just this moment.
Wow.
Even in my research, I didn't come across that.
Well, there you have it. So that's my who. How about you?
I think you made that up.
I'm still looking for him.
I'm good with him. Nothing's coming up.
All right. I'm going back to the running back position.
Yes.
And have we ever heard of a guy named Antonio Andrews?
No.
Who? That's right. Andrews was active for the first time in Week 3. He carved out a majority of carries in the Titans' narrow loss to the Colts. Second year back, began his career.
He plays for Tennessee?
Tennessee, that's right, Tennessee Titans. He's a second year back.
What's his name again?
Antonio Andrews.
Who?
Exactly. Undrafted free agent. He led the team with 12 carries, 49 yards, and even got a touchdown. He showed exceptional burst, turning the corner for that touchdown. While Bishop Sankey and Dexter McCluster just got 5 carries apiece. Backfield's crowded, subject to change week to week. But as of now, Antonio Andrews is the main back for your Tennessee Titans. Who? Wow. Antonio Andrews.
Wow.
I feel like these are made-up names.
This sounds like World League football.
Yeah.
What is he? A tight end? A kicker? What is he?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver and a running back.
Yeah.
Wow, that's all who's team right
You're
now.
shopping in the bargain basement.
Yes, sir.
These are some names to keep in mind.
Oh, but by the way, for Antonio Andrews, people wanting to pick him up, he will not be playing this week due to the bye. So, don't use the itchy finger yet.
He does.
Yeah.
No. This is the best time to use it.
Well, yeah, because other people might not.
If you have a spot.
If you have a spot, that's the key.
Because he'll be good for the rest of the way. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. We hope so. Well, that was our segment called Who.
Yeah.
So we have now. Yeah. So
kind of leaves a nasty taste in your mouth a little bit. I need to spit.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it is Waiver Wire Wednesday.
Waiver Wire.
We're into our section about the fantasy tips for week 4. So here's the panelist opportunity to bring up any waiver wire pickups and any tips that you have and advice for the fantasy footballers out there.
Well, one observation that I made, just from watching the Dallas game, I feel like Dallas has a running back committee that actually can trying to be diplomatic, can actually kind of feed a lot of has a lot of teats, so to speak. There's a lot to feed on there. You can insert Joseph Randle, you can try Darren McFadden, you can throw in there Lance Dunbar. I mean, there's a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're in a bind, Dallas is going to be running the ball, to the extent that they can, and I think that any one of those running backs can get you some serviceable points. And I'm saying maybe 8 to 10 points from any one of them. Everybody's got an opportunity to get a touchdown. I think that if you're in a bind and with bye weeks coming up, everybody's going to be jammed up a little bit. Any one of those three, they have a running back committee that actually could work for fantasy owners. Most of them don't, but I think that Dallas's committee actually does. And and one other note, Alex Smith finally broke his cherry, so to speak, and threw a touchdown to a wide receiver. Congratulations, Jeremy Maclin. So maybe he'll be in the mood to do some more of that. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't hang my hat on it, but he did get he got some yardage and he actually got a touchdown. So maybe that'll open the door for better things for Maclin. So as a fantasy, of course, if you have Maclin, to this point you've been kind of like, do I play him? Do I not? Playing matchups.
Right.
Alex Smith can be serviceable. So.
Yep.
So Maclin is looking better.
Definitely. Calculator?
Yes, sir. I just want to talk about quarterbacks in general real quick. A lot of injuries been going on with Ben Roethlisberger and, and so forth. And exactly. Going week to week. Well, believe it or not, Derek Carr is only owned in 19.8% of standard leagues out there.
Really?
Hey,
wow.
Yes.
He's on in every league that I'm in.
Well, not in the standard leagues that I was looking at. The offense in Oakland Sun looks promising with Carr at the helm. He's had consecutive 300-yard games twice as a rookie. He has a young nucleus of talent with Amari Cooper and that Who guy that 411 just talked about. So he's a great. Exactly. Okay, great. He is a good guy that if he's available, pick him up. Great bye week filler, great replacement guy. With Romo being out as well. Really like me some Derek Carr and Joe Flacco.
Wow.
He's available in some leagues, and now with that defense being tainted and everything, there are decent options out there at quarterback. And if you're a Colin Kaepernick owner that you were trying to depend on him as your number 2 quarterback, you might want to think of a Joe Flacco or a Derek Carr or someone like that. So, just be prepared because this probably isn't the last time we see some injuries coming at the quarterback position. So, if you have room, you might want to get that quarterback that you think can get you through some hard times.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely,
mind the waiver wires, fellas. And
absolutely. My fantasy tip for this week is pay close attention to these injuries. Mainly, like for example, you have LaShawn McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since training camp, there's been some sort of issue about him being injured.
Yeah.
At some point in time, the tire's going to blow, and he's going to be done for the year. Now you hear Marshawn Lynch.
Uh-huh.
He's showing up for the game in the second quarter. He's 50-50. He's going to play. Oh, he may not play next week now. Those are signs. So pay attention to the signs. You have these players out here. Each week, they're starting to break down. More games are being played. More players are getting injured. So, but keep an eye on those type of lingering type of injuries. Because at some point in time, whoever's the backup for that particular player, they're going to be inserted in that lineup. I mean, look at Chris Ivory. Palau, is a factor back now because of a lingering injury there with Ivory. So, pay attention to those situations and be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Get out in front.
But one of the things 411 that I'm noticing is that a lot of the times when somebody goes down, it's like the stated backup isn't necessarily the guy that's carrying the load. That's what I'm finding. This weekend, Thomas Rawls came out of nowhere because that's not supposed to be Marshawn.
Yeah, because everybody thought Fred Jackson was the guy in
Fred
Seattle.
Jackson was the guy, it wasn't supposed to be close.
Right.
And yet here comes Thomas Rawls. When Lamar Miller, Damian Williams is supposed to be the backup, but here comes Jonas Gray. So
right.
I don't know if teams are deliberately sending out decoys. I'm not quite sure.
A lot of Belichicking going on.
Oh yeah.
Well, and it's effective. And speaking of Belichick, this weekend it was LeGarrette Blount's turn.
Yeah.
To have.
I actually had LeGarrette Blount in 4 leagues on the bench.
Well, yeah, I only had him in 1, but he was on my bench because he's done a whole lot of nothing up to that point.
Yeah.
Deion Lewis had gotten some love, and of course he was in that lineup and he got nothing. So it's one of those things. It's like I don't know if this is deliberate or if it's just something that works itself out on Saturdays before practice when the main guy can't go. But it traditionally you just kind of like have to look at the depth chart just for the backup. But more and more fantasy tip, you got to start looking beyond just the backup and start looking at that third string running back and I won't say like pick them up and stash them because most leagues are not that kind of deep.
Right.
But keep them on your radar as players to watch and see if you can keep an eye on those little battles that go on between the second string and the third string because what I'm finding is that often the third string guy is becoming the guy, and they're kind of coming out of nowhere, and we have not really paid a lot of attention to that. So just keep that in mind. Look a little deeper, not just for the second string, but look for the third string and see who's getting the reps. That's a tip.
Mr. 411?
Has Mr. 411 gone Omaha on us?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, it has happened before. What I say is, we soldier on.
Hey, Lacey, we also, is that 411 back?
And we're back.
Okay. There you go.
Hey, 411. I just wanted to also make sure we mention before the end of the evening about the early Sunday game that people might not be aware of.
Oh, yeah. That's brutal. Yeah, the Jets in Miami are playing in London, apparently.
Yes.
And they're playing at some ungodly hour.
9:30 in the morning.
Oh, my goodness.
9:30.
Yeah.
So
make sure if you're not an early riser, make sure that lineup is set if you have any of those players before you go to bed on Saturday night.
That's pretty tough, and that's a pretty important detail. Mm-hmm. You have to have all that stuff set, not for the 1 o'clock game, but for the 9:30 game.
9:30 game, yes.
Right. So for those who want to keep an eye on the LaShawn McCoy, Carlos Williams saga, they have to make a decision early. Gotta keep an eye on that all week.
I've already made my decision. I'm going with Carlos. Now, 9:30 is Eastern Standard Time. Well, Eastern Daylight Time, I guess.
That's correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So for our West Coast listeners.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They have to go to bed early Saturday night. They can't stay out and party Saturday night. Gotta go to bed.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. So not only do we have an early game to contend with, we have a bye week to contend with. We have New England and Tennessee on a bye, and so there's a lot going on this week.
Yeah.
There's a lot of juicy matchups. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. And the first game is tomorrow.
Yes.
Ravens versus Steelers.
Michael Vick.
Vick and the Steelers versus Joe Flacco and the Ravens.
Right.
That's interesting.
So, and just the same as, you need to be ready for that Sunday morning, 9:30.
Right.
Fans get ready for that Thursday. You're going to be putting in Flacco. You're going to play, possibly play Vic if you're really down. You got to definitely make sure Bell's ready to go and Antonio Brown, Steve Smith. So there's a lot of players that need to be set.
I do want to. I did forget I did want to mention one time that secret Raven I was talking about, Max Williams, rookie tight end.
Yes.
Flacco loves the tight end, and remember what Gronkowski did to those Steelers trying to cover tight end.
Oh boy.
So Max Williams, if you have a Gronkowski and you only drafted one tight end and he's on the bye, Max Williams. Hey, I picked him up in the league. He is available, and you get to watch him on Thursday night. So, and because Gilmore is hurt, so Max Williams will be getting all the reps.
Yeah.
Wow. And Gilmore had a good game earlier in the year, correct?
Yes. Flacco loves tight end.
Not this week, but last week.
He got hurt, and then as soon as Max Williams replaced Gilmore, Max Williams got 3 catches off the bat. So Max Williams, they're a guy. Hey, the Ravens have always liked tight ends. Just look at Owen Daniels and before that Dennis Pitta. So
correct. Yeah.
Max Williams is a perfect 1 week fill-in if you're desperate, if you're a Gronkowski owner, or a Delaney Walker owner.
That's kind of the backbone of fantasy football. Play the hot hand. You got to go with that. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So Max Williams is available if you want to watch somebody Thursday night.
There you go. Max out with Max.
Yes, sir.
Okay, another tequila shot. Stop it.
All right. Well, fans, I hope you had your notebook out. If you didn't, always catch us on YouTube. Any questions that you have, any questions, suggestions, fantasy advice, send it to 411. Exactly. Send it to 411 Sportsworld Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, and 411, we don't even charge a fee.
We don't.
So,
absolutely. We're here for you.
Exactly.
We're here for you.
Right.
And also, just a slight cross promotional tidbit here. FanDuel. If you're interested in FanDuel, use the code FEARS, FEARS. That'll double whatever amount that you put in, up to $200.
Up to $200.
And we also will be giving FanDuel advice. So,
that is correct.
You know, the 411 Sportsworld podcast is on the move.
Yeah.
And we have, I'm very impressed with my buddies here, with Lacey Dawson and the calculator. They bring it every week.
We do.
And they give you those tidbits to have you max out.
Yes.
So, on behalf of the calculator and Lacey Dawson, I'm Mr. 411. We thank you for listening. And we'll see you next week.
Talk to everybody later. Good night, everyone.
Good night.